Good afternoon, everyone. So, my name is Sreejith. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Apollo AyurVAID Hospitals. So, the topic today we're going to discuss is building AYUSH Entrepreneurship ecosystem. So, we have an exciting panel here who are going to discuss something which is very, very much from the ground. So, we need to hear all of them. To set the context, we heard two different strands of thought that came from the morning. We heard Ayush is a big opportunity, right? And we all truly believe it. And when Honorable Secretary Ayush mentioned that it's a 50 billion opportunity, it's a great size for a market, right? $50 billion is a huge market almost, right? And then we also spoke about the opportunity for growth with the global non-communicable disease burden going up, people awareness going up, everything is signaling the right things. And we also saw the amount of support both from the government as well as industry bodies like CII, which can significantly catapult the growth of the market. We also heard about some new trends coming. Mr. Rajiv mentioned about technology being integrated, heard multiple strands of these kind of things. So it's a huge opportunity. That was one theme which was coming continuously in the whole discussions. Second theme is about there are certain challenges. People kept on saying that there is a challenge here, challenge there. Now, if I take a step back and say that, okay, it's a 50 billion opportunity, because of the demand, it's going to become 150, 2 billion, 200 billion opportunity. Each of these challenge also can become an opportunity, right? So we heard that, there is a regulatory issue where there are multiple things to be happen. Is there an opportunity? So that's where the entrepreneurship ecosystem will come as a key catapult or a key, catalyst to kind of drive the growth for the industry. So today, we are blessed to have four illustrious panelists with me who have seen it, done it, and let me introduce them. Let me introduce Mr. S.B. Dangayach. He's a distinguished alumnus from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. He also has been in various senior leadership and director positions across multiple organizations. A big patron of homeopathy in today's world. He'll talk more about what his experience from the market is. We have Mr. Vivek Jain, who is again a seasoned marketeer across industries, and he's for the last 1 year, he's the CEO of Dr. Vaidyas. We both happen to be colleagues in our previous organization also, by the way. So now we have Mr. Ramnkumar. He's again a seasoned entrepreneur in the AYUSH space, founder of NirogStreet. We keep, Ram has been a phase of a lot of entrepreneurship discussions, not only in AYUSH space, but across multiple spaces. And then we have Ms. Sarika Panchi, again a seasoned corporate executive for around 20 years, then took up this mission of bringing pure products from the land of Uttarakhand, to the market, and at the same time running a women's only organization from there to promote the ecosystem. So with this illustrious team, let me start with Ram. Ram has been running NirogStreet, where he has the ecosystem where more than 50,000 independent doctors, right, work on his platform and get products, order it, and work on their protocols, get trained, etc. So I just want to understand from Ram, what is the sentiment of these people on the ground? Are they seeing entrepreneurship opportunities? All these 50,000 plus doctors that you see. And what are the kind of promising trends that you see in the market on this phase?
So there are three things that I would put in. Before I go for that, I'll just give you an anecdote. And I love this particular anecdote. As a child, I used lantern to study, kerosene lantern. Then I started using electricity. Of course, it was a coal-based electricity. Then I'm now talking about I need clean electricity, but I need electricity. I don't want to go back to lantern, for sure. So mode of delivery has started changing. The requirement is light. Everyone needs light. But mode of delivery has been changing. So on my part, what I have seen physicians across, in fact, last year I traveled across close to 70 cities of India, and we did dialogue with various practitioners, and what it came out that they indeed want to become part of mainstream, and they are indeed working for that. The thing is, what they need is exposure, access, and most important, policy support. The good thing is that policy support is coming. Then platform like ours and say initiative like AyurVAID is also bringing needed confidence among those practitioners. So they are very open. Healthcare as such has seen transformation taking time. Digital transformation particularly has taken more time than what you would see in any other category. The reason being it deals with very important ingredient, that is patient care. For doctor, most important thing is they want to make money, but at the same time their patient has to get cured, because if patients are not getting cured, their value is getting diminished. So this is one part. The second part, what we have seen is openness about what you see is a culture which was basically coming from the past. Be it, open medicines. So today doctors are more open to package, retail, quality products. And third and most important is they also want to basically go away from the fact that, hey, this is no more a wellness category. I am talking about Ayurveda healthcare. I am talking about Ayush healthcare. Because premium comes from healthcare. So for example, if you do something medicated, there is a premium to it. But if you sell something, this is a shampoo, there is no premium to it. So doctors also want to have premium on those things. So to answer your question and to summarize what I said, yes, everyone is changing. With basically digital coming up, they are actually adopting to newer mediums of delivery. They are open to basically collaborating, and they are doing everything to become part of mainstream, and eventually it is actually happening. So just to give you a very specific data point, we did a very detailed market survey. We spent a lot of actually primary and secondary data, and it actually said in 2005 Ayurveda's share of healthcare was 5%. As of 2022, it has become 20% of overall healthcare. Increase of 15% has not come from some other universe. It has happened in this country among ourselves. And primary drivers were, tier 2, tier 3 towns, in fact. So this is a very interesting things that we saw. Then what we saw is, and this is actually doctors are driving. The other thing that we saw is disease-specific access of healthcare. So wherever threat of life is immediate, people want to access Ayurveda. I am using the word Ayurveda because this is what people are using most of the time instead of Ayush. Wherever threat of life is threat of life is immediate, people do not want to go for Ayurveda. But wherever threat of life is not immediate. But as per WHO, 70% deaths are today linked to lifestyle or non-communicable problems. Our doctors are solving those non-communicable problems, which is actually 70% of your lifestyle issues. And those things have led to 5% from 5% to 20%. So there is a fundamental shift happening across healthcare. There is basically a fundamental shift happening among consumers. They are more aware. Even eventually they know that what they need. At what point they would like to talk to another doctor, and what point they would like to talk to somebody else. So this is a very interesting movement happening, that what I have seen over last few years that I have been working in this category, also coming from the fact that I had my certain challenges, health challenges, which got solved in Ayurveda. Sreejith.
Thank you, Ram. It's a very interesting point that Ram has mentioned, right? I mean, that 5% to 20% shift is one thing. Second is, with his experience in the tier 2, tier 3 markets, working with individual practitioners, he is feeling that no, the business model is very viable at this point of time, and they're actually able to take that and solve healthcare problems for the people, right? This perhaps is, something which we need to make note of, because these are all the opportunities that are in the market, because universal health coverage also we talk about. Maybe there is an answer lying somewhere in between there.
Yes.
Thanks.
70%. If you can solve 70%, 30%, anyone will manage.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you, Ram. Now I'll move to Vivek. Right. Vivek, my question to you is as follows, right? Dr. Vaidya's is one of the earliest D2C startups, direct to consumer startups, and it came to the news before this D2C. Even in other industries, the direct to consumer market kind of picked up. What are the trends that you're seeing in the internet consumer of today? And therefore, what do you think are the emerging opportunities for an entrepreneurship in the D2C space that you teach?
Thank you for the question and thank you for the audience as well. So हम लोग खाली अपने वेबसाइट से बिजनेस करते हैं. We do not have any offline at all, right? Just to be clear, we pick up trends through search. Is a very good way जो Google पे आदमी सर्च कर रहा है, right? 3-4 things are coming out very very clearly as we see. 3 years back, I used to get a call only 1% or 2% of my orders back asking for advice. Today it has increased to 16%. So if I sell 100 units, which itself has gone 6x or 10x of 3 years back, but 16% of people want to consult and then consume overall. So that's one trend which is coming out and it has huge implications, right? To set up the teams, how to do business, conversions. Second, people who call us and consume products, the repeat is 60%. वो 60% लोग वापस आके लेते हैं. जो बिना कॉल करके हमें बिना बात करे डायरेक्ट हमारे वेबसाइट से ले लेते हैं, रिपीट इज ओनली 10%. राइट, सो दैट कम्स बिकॉज सेटिंग अप अ कॉल is a cost, right? But I think the ROI is tremendous, lifetime value and the cycle is tremendous to set that up. So that's been one trend we see. 3 साल पहले सर्च होता था अश्वगंधा ingredient. I'm just taking one example and there are many. Shalaki we spoke in the morning. Increasingly we see now ingredient searches going down. People are searching more for problems, stress directly, right? They are talking pain, they are talking fever. So it's a shift in consumer what is happening. 3 साल पहले वो लोग ingredient search कर रहे थे. Right now, as we go to the masses, I think they do not know ingredients. I think small group knew ingredients and hence that was happening, which also goes to what we are saying 20% is the share of Ayurveda today, right? So we are going to the masses now, we are massifying, right? तो सब लोगों को ingredients नहीं पता है, but they understand it's efficacious. So they are now searching the problems. So it has an implication, the way I market, the way I communicate, what I write on the packs, it has an implication for every entrepreneur in this room, right? Do I continue to write Ashwagandha or now I write stress, it solves this first and then write Ashwagandha below, right? So it is a call to take, right? There's nothing right or wrong, right? I'm just sharing some insights, what we are seeing today in the business. Third is, we see trust as a category, right? Firstly, barrier is very less कि कुछ खराब नहीं होगा. So potential to try is very high, what we are seeing. But the category has not built trust. कहीं ना कहीं वो trust थोड़ा एलोपैथी की तरफ ज़्यादा है, and that's why I think the call, how do we engage, how do we convince is important. And implication for us and what we are doing is setting up proactively clinical trials. I think lot of us have research, but I think as a body we have not shared and I think massified to the efficacy of the products through clinical research. We have not, brought it to the world, I would say, right? हर company के पास अपना है and it's like मेरा खजाना types, right? What I think as CI and Ayush, if we can bring it all together and then put it there in the market, right? Consumers should see. I think it has an implication. We at Dr. Vaidya are conducting at least at this point of time 10 clinical trials. At some point of time, it will, because that's the only way I will be able to build trust, right, out there at some point of time. So these are the implications in business. I can continue to talk lots overall, but again, I am more of a consumer guy. I am not a medic overall, so I can give you a lot of consumer insights and its implication on all of us, how we market and think about it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. These are extremely positive signs, as you see, right? I mean, people are no more doing self-medication or looking for some products. They're actually looking for an advice from an experienced person. That shows why he's saying 16% of call ratio has gone up, right? And consequently, right, vis-a-vis people doing self-medication versus people who take this guided medication, he's also seeing more people coming back because that is far more efficient. And also the fact that, the entrepreneurs over here, we are all talking of common languages about bringing that clinical validation base while we are all operating in different silos, or we have an opportunity to come together. These are all the real positive signs, I would say, from an entrepreneurship angle that I would like to take forth. Thank you, Vivek. It's been very insightful. Now let me go to Mr. Dangeash, right? So given that he's a patron of Global Homeopathy Foundation, and he's also part of multiple incubators, and he works very closely with budding entrepreneurs in the homeopathy space. It will be very interesting to hear from him what are the kind of trends that he see amongst the budding entrepreneurs, and what are the kind of things that they are trying to solve. It will be a good insight that we'll take from you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sreejith, and thank you, CAI, and particularly Mr. Vasudevan, for giving me this opportunity. Well, I have been engaged with homeopathy for a long time, and Ayush also for quite some time. And since I've come from a different background, I have been engaging with IIMA alumni who are in the healthcare space. And there are around 250 members of IIMA Healthcare SIG, as we call it, in which, so you've got MDs, managing directors, and the chief executives of the topmost, pharma concerns. And probably I was the first one, who was advocating for Ayush. In last 2 or 3 years, there is such an interest now in Ayush within that group that I have been asked to hold something like this in IIM Ahmedabad in the next 2 or 3 months. This is because of the fact that everybody is now looking at Ayush as the next generation business. And some time back, I had done a webinar on Ayush next generation business to just, to give a flavor. And that has resulted into investors, pharma makers and others to look at kind of complementing whatever they are doing so that they can give an overall solution for healthcare to the respective groups, and obviously make money on that. So that's the first indicator that investors, large investors across the sectors, it is not only the pharma sector. I have got requests in the last 1 week from 2 people who are into the infra space, and they are saying that we have got surpluses with us. What do we do with that? Why don't we look at some solutions through Ayush? Their vision may be to get into OTC, for example. Their vision may be to get into cosmetics and some other lifestyle products. But the whole thing is that there is a growing interest amongst various target groups to look at Ayush. I'm very, very happy to see that Ayush business has grown to a level which, was around 7 times, 7 years back, around $22 billion in the products and $25 billion in the services. Now, when we look at that, please appreciate that all this has happened with all kinds of challenges. When we start looking at the current you can say, difficulties, which obviously relate to solvable domains. We are talking about clinical trials. I'm glad to say that there are now agencies which are doing on a small level clinical trials. We had, say for homeopathy, people, who talked about clinical trial modules that they are offering. And believe me or not, clinical trials of Ayush itself is a very, very big business opportunity. Like clinical trials for allopathic medicines or biomedical medicines has become big business, from India. I won't know the number, but it's a big business. Torrent is doing, and Intas, Pharmaceuticals, Zydus, all of them have got clinical trial companies earning, obviously thousands of crores of, revenue. So Ayush has got a huge opportunity for clinical trials. And this is essential from the fact that we need to convince the consumer. We need to, build the trust. That trust will come when our present scientific bent of mind accepts that Ayush products or offering that is, being given to him is backed by needful research. Merely saying that, it was there in the text earlier and it was there in the documents and therefore it will work is not going to be as powerful and as potent as you're backing it with some data. Once that is done, I think, very, significant changes will take place in the field of therapeutics. Third thing, that I would like to talk about are the incubators. I am attached with, the half a dozen incubators, and I'll talk about 2 of them because they are significant. One of them is LM College of Pharmacy. LM College of Pharmacy is the first pharmacy college of the country in Ahmedabad. LM College of Pharmacy has got the first Atal Incubation Center in the field of pharmaceuticals and related products. In last 1 year, we have been able to enroll around 5 incubatees. A couple of them are very, very, renowned Ayurvedic doctors. Dr. Narendra Bhatt, for example, many of you may not be knowing, or if you know, you would understand how, maybe knowledgeable a person like Dr. Narendra Bhatt is. He has been the president of an organization called IASTM. Now, you may not have heard about it. It's called Indian Association for Study of Traditional Asian Medicine. IASTM, started by Jandu and Dr. Bhatt. Now, Dr. Bhatt has become an incubator there in LMCP, and LMCP is very proudly telling everybody that we have got an Ayurveda Acharya who is exploring 2 product lines, one for cancer and secondly for fatty liver, and he is going to demonstrate his solutions and then build it up. So that's the second thing. In Ahmedabad, we have got a very powerful now incubation center under the University of Gujarat, which is called iHub, and iHub again had engaged me as a mentor for Ayush, and they've got now 40 incubators for Ayush. So I personally think a whole lot of people are thinking that Ayush and allopathy will have to go together. If you are looking at the modern medicine, it is going to be biomedical plus traditional medicine. That's what Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan said in the inaugurals at Gandhinagar. So we are having a very, very bright future. We need to cover the challenges up. There is a lot of interest amongst the investors. There is a lot of interest amongst the funds. I also know about 3 funds who are looking at Ayush as a separate vertical, because unless you get money, you can do on a small scale some business and be happy with it for having created miraculous results. But when we want growth, when we want natural impact, then we require funds, we require technology, we require all the facets, and we require naturally business models which are replicable or scalable. And that is what I think is bound to happen the moment people like, or pioneers like Rajiv Vasudevanji, who has demonstrated through Ayurveda, which has created so much of fervor and so much of interest, for the simple reason that Tatas have tied up with the Apollo Ayurveda. I happen to be on the board of governors or board of advisors of Gujarat Cancer Society, where they have agreed that they would also like to look at Ayush not as a mainstream but as a palliative pain management and supportive kind of system. To that extent they have come. Lastly, I would like to say, in allopathy, antibiotics has been the mainstay. Antibiotics are being used indiscriminately, profusely. 50% of you can say antibiotics are going for animals and 50% are being used by the human beings. But it has created a hell of a problem in form of AMR, antimicrobial resistance. I happen to be on the board of governors of AMR Declaration Chennai. Dr. Abdul Ghaffur runs that. And again, he is asking for solutions through Ayush to tackle AMR or to give alternatives for tackling, for managing the kind of microbial issues with the help of different things in Ayush like UTI and things like that. They can be very well tackled by homeopathy. And one more point before I go on to something else, veterinary medicines. In the veterinary field, there is a huge interest now. Again, AMR. Again, maybe the contamination of the milk products, and you'll all be delighted to know that Amul Dairy has started an homeopathic factory, and they've started making homeopathic medicines, and the first 6 months of their working, they've demonstrated a decline of 20% in antibiotics use, maintaining same level of health and improving the fat content and the quality of the milk. So these are the kinds of things. Amul managing director is a great, maybe ambassador of homeopathy, and he has told me that in 5 years, he will see to it that Amul starts giving this know-how of homeopathic medicines to the veterinary world outside of India, already on the verge of signing with Denmark, already on the signing an agreement, somebody in the US. So that's the kind of a thing that is happening. And obviously, I see a whole lot of traction, whole lot of positivity about Ayush, and I think we all can do it working together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It has been really an insightful set of points, right? And it's we can all say that the industry is looking very positive after hearing from sir, right? I mean, we have the right set of investors. Entrepreneurs are solving the right kind of problems through the right ways, right? I mean, talked about clinical trials, about the AMR as a problem. So we are going in the right space and right pace, right? That's what we should say. In that note, about entrepreneurship as an opportunity, I would like Sarika to share her views about how her journey has been, and especially building a company out of a state in Uttarakhand, a state of Uttarakhand, and how it has been for her for the last 8 years? 4 years, and yeah, that's something.
So I'll almost feel I'm the new kid on the block. I've been listening to everybody sitting here. And I don't have the kind of experience that everyone else has. I'm going to stick to the business side of Ayurveda and not to the Ayurveda side of Ayurveda. We started Jivisa 4 years back, and we were very, very clear that Jivisa is a holistic wellness brand. And we started it knowing fully well that that's what we believe in. What you put inside your body, on your body, how you think, read, the conversations that you have, the people you meet finally leads to the well-being of you. Was the philosophy with which we started. I quit corporate after working for 20 years. I used to work with IBM in Mumbai, and I had quit and moved back to Dehradun 8 years back, when moving back to small towns was not as fashionable as it is today after COVID. तो जब आप बहुत बड़ी जगह से छोटी जगह जाते हैं तो बहुत सारी चीज़ें चेंज हो जाती हैं in your mind. You start thinking differently, you start living differently. You slow down and you realize that there are way more important things in life than what you were chasing, in the big cities. Nothing against anybody here. It's just, it was a more personal journey. So I think one thing that changed drastically after the pandemic is how we started to think, behave, and look after ourselves. So when I went, I was looking after our creative agency, and I realized that that's not what I wanted to do anymore. We needed to do something which was more, which helped me look within and help me help people, look within. And that was the idea with which Jivisa happened. पहले 1.5 साल हमें ये सोचने में लग गए कि हमें करना क्या है. You go back to the drawing board, it's completely clean slate, and you thinking, okay, am I doing the right thing, not doing the right thing? And then one thing led to another. And 4 years later, I'm very, very happy that, the products we've curated over the last 3 years, pehla saal, I always kind of dismiss. The services we are curating today, whatever we are adding to the bouquet today is what is being accepted very well, either, whether it is the direct consumer that I'm dealing with or our clients that almost 94% of our business is today B2B, and, very small part is B2C and D2C. So today, I know that my Kada is being served in Vistara's business class, and, when we started taking, one step after the other, we realized that we must be doing something right, because the right people were coming on board, and the right, questions were being asked, and we were giving a lot of appreciation. So Dehradun, Uttarakhand mein kaise hua? I happen to be in Dehradun, but I've now realized that no space is small enough to restrict you if you have big dreams. And if your story is authentic and right, people will come and, partner with you. And so that's how it started building. It is an all-women organization, and that also completely happened because I realized that when I started working, and because I'm a single mother, a lot of women would reach out to me naturally. And when that happened, initially mujhe laga we need to work with a certain economic strata of women. And then I realized that actually, irrespective of economic strata, a lot of women needed hand-holding. So my own ex-colleagues who had taken 10 years sabbatical, etc., started reaching out to say, do you think I can come on board? And I said, okay, come on board, saath saath seekhenge. And that's how we've been building the organization. What I do like is that when you come to these forums, you realize that there is just so much focus, whether it is from the government, the initiatives, the ministries, or people who are kind of investing in clean, right things. And that's the bedrock of what we are trying to do today. So we are trying to build a holistic wellness organization. We are Ayurveda inspired, but we do also believe in modern sciences. We do think that the two need to marry. And there is enough and more opportunity to bring out products that are natural, products that are preventive, products that can help you lead a good lifestyle. तो आप वहाँ तक पहुँचे ही नहीं कि आपको कुछ और कराना पड़े. The 70% people that are dying for various lifestyle diseases, अगर हम उसको arrest कर सकते हैं तो why not? And that's how we are kind of building Jivisa today.
it's an important point, right? I mean, what Sarika was mentioning, like I was telling, if the industry has to grow threefold, fourfold, we have to get more and more entrepreneurs on the tip in the industry, right? And many of them come from bottom up from the industry, and a lot of others come from a corporate background or some other industry. They come to Ayush as an opportunity. And Sarika is an example of coming from a corporate world and looking at Ayush as an opportunity. And we need more and more people to actually come to this industry. It's indeed heartening to see that, this trend is also coming in the industry, seeing the attractiveness, because that's going to define the growth in the future. Right. Now, let me quickly go to the next phase. I know we are running slightly short on time. I have one quick question to each of you. It's more about, if you were to think Ayush as an ecosystem for entrepreneurs, right? What are those 2-3 things coming on the top of your mind? What could be done better, or what as CII we can take forward, right? I want all of you to quickly do it in a couple of minutes. Right, and then we need to get the audience questions also. In that context, Ram, since you have raised also some funds in the past from institutional investors, from that angle, what worked for you and what should young entrepreneurs think about to proceed forward? Because funding is an essential part of, entrepreneurs being growing.
मैं ना एक कहानी सुनाता हूँ. आई एम सॉरी फॉर पीपल हु डू नॉट अंडरस्टैंड हिंदी. बॉलीवुड का एक लाइन है, तो जब आप फंड रेज करने जाते हो तो कहते हो कि नया जोश है, नई उमंगे और है नई जवानी, बस आ जाओ आप. तो आप उम्मीद क्या कहते हो? हमारे साथ ऐसा हुआ था एक के साथ. तो बोलता है कि ना कजरे की धार, ना मोतियों का हार, ना कोई किया श्रृंगार, फिर भी कितनी सुंदर हो. यही चाहते हो कि कह दे कोई तारीफ करके और आ जाए. द थिंग इज इट इज बेसिकली रेजिंग मनी is a task in itself, and there has to be certain opportunity that you have to be bringing in. Investment happens in an unorganized industry, so you have to find something which can actually get to a path of growth, can build value for the stakeholders. So most important thing is anything that you are doing is actually adding value to the customer. So customer, then your people, and then everyone else, including investors, they actually come at the end. So when you keep that in sequence, things do happen. Other thing is that when you actually build a business just for the sake of investments, it is a challenging. But if you actually building something कि ये problem मैं solve कर रहा हूँ, if you are solving a problem, then investment होगा नहीं होगा एक secondary चीज है. आप एक problem solve कर रहे हो, somebody कोई ना कोई तो आ जाएगा आपको. There is someone in this universe for everyone. That's how it happened. Resilience is the key. I have another very interesting point about and how entrepreneurship is not just about new people, also about the old people, generational changes that's happening, and that is also fueling Indian entrepreneurship ecosystem. For example, what an entrepreneur can do for a service industry or tech platform to run, you need manufacturers. So let me give, for example, there is a company Vaidyaratnam, 200-year-old history, new people coming in, adding new ingredients to it, bringing new thought, partnering with someone like us, and then getting to a scenario where, hey, can we deliver the way the people want rather than the way I have been delivering? Or I would go and say to investor, hey, my father would have been happy this way, but I would be happy this way, but my child would be happy another way. So this is basically marrying all these things together is actually brings investor. But so for example, I was very recently, if anyone wants to take up, I was part of a closed door, work with the Geological Survey of India. They are actually building basically data captivity where actually you can actually say where you can find something and where it is available. And very interesting thing came around medicinal plant. There are some areas which has got abundance of certain medicinal plants, some areas have something else. Can we build something around that will create all this problem that you see around heavy metals, XYZ, because certain areas are good for something, certain areas are not. There's decision centric and everything. So you can actually build around that. That is another speciality. So not doing everything on earth is very important thing. Not everything you should do. you should do one thing better than everyone, investors would come to you.
Thank you. I think it's indeed insightful. Vivek, quickly, any thoughts on things that can do better?
But I will say again, two things. I think as this forum, if we can bring all consumer research we all have, right? Bring it under one umbrella and bring it in the world. So it will create trust, right? Consumers will start to believe, right? Our products are efficacious, trust will increase. Number two, I think lobby with the government, something similar for Make in India which happened, there's an incentive so that we all do more clinical trials. It is costly. We know that, right? I have commissioned at least 8 in last 6 months, so I know it's very costly. So if we do clinical trials, either a subsidy to that or through manufacturing, there are ways, right? How do we do that? So that hundreds of us, even if we do 2 per year, right? It's a huge clinical research and trust building over next 5-10 years we'll be able to bring there, and I think the growth will happen. I would say that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And one more thing just I want to add, because it's investor specific, I just want to add, because many people are actually looking for that category, that thing. Very important thing is one part, investors are very keen on this category. What you have to see is the traction and how problem solving is happening. No one has any question about market sizing. So market sizing problem has been solved by RIS, Ministry of Ayush and other parts. So nobody is going to ask that question. So that is taken care of.
The first point that I would like to make is that under Ayushman Bharat, there are 2 components. The first is PMJAY. I was very happy to know and very glad that that Dr. Kotecha has confirmed that government is going to consider inclusion of Ayush. But another important thing is the health and wellness centers. Health and wellness centers, obviously to the tune of around 150,000 have been created, which are mostly driven by allopathy. Government of India realized, Ayush Ministry realized, and therefore 12,500 exclusive health and wellness centers based on Ayush were sanctioned, out of which 9,000 have already been created. But another interesting thing that I would like to tell you, and most of you may be probably aware, is that health and wellness centers are now called Ayushman Arogya Mandir. So you have got Ayushman Arogya Mandir regular ones, which are not doing through allopathy and other things. But they have now, the government of India has now created a special category, Ayushman Arogya Mandir Ayush, in the bracket Ayush. And the proposal is to create AAM arm for every 10,000 persons. That means 1,40,000 Ayushman Arogya Mandir Ayush have to be created in the next 3 to 4 years. Since many of the Ayush treatments and therapies are going to be difficult to cover through insurance, though Ayush Ministry has declared, and Bejonji is here, that from 1st of April Ayush insurance products will be considered at par with others. Still, I would say that whole lot of treatments, whole lot of prescriptions for Ayush will be difficult to cover under insurance. So a large amount of money has to be earmarked by the government to run these arm Ayush, so that these benefits can reach the people. That's my first maybe point. That would open up huge business opportunities, huge maybe kind of entrepreneurial opportunities, which could be in social business or regular business. As a matter of fact, Ayush is ideal for social entrepreneurship. Last point that I would like to make is that in homeopathy, there is an alternative, not a perfect alternative, but I would say there is a semi-alternative in the form of nosodes. And I am aware that nosodes have been tried out in Canada and many other countries, supported by a company called Boiron from France. Maybe it has not succeeded, but this is an alternative which is worth researching, developing and offering. And I would very strongly feel that Government of India should earmark suitable funds for researching and developing nosodes, which will become a kind of an alternative to vaccines in time to come. Because that is a very, very big area from the public health, from the personal health point of view under allopathy. In Ayush, we need to create an alternative to vaccines, and that is possible through modified, improved, next generation methods. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Again, very insightful points. Thank you. Sarika, quickly.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. One, of course, I completely agree with what Vivek is saying. I think there's so much happening, and especially organizations like us, which are not funded yet. सबसे बड़ा challenge startup का funding, I mean, you know, the cash flows and everything होता है, and you do tend to not spend on things that are not immediate business. You know, you tend to spend on products and operations and all of that, but there's a whole lot that needs to be done, but somehow gets put on the back burner. So if, you know, if we can start sharing that at an industry level, it also benefits small startups like ours. The other thing, and completely coming from a startup point of view, is that I know there's a lot happening. There are policies, there are regulations, there are funds sitting there, but people like us don't have the bandwidth or understanding of how to navigate that system and reach the right funds. So if there can be some kind of a hand-holding from organizations, from the government, to say that, look, we know you're in the space and you may not know that this is happening, but here is what you need to go through, and, you know, here is how you apply, etc. I think it will benefit a lot of people like us, you know, within the space and around, because startups are only fighting fires. They are just too operational in nature. They tend to get very, strategic very rarely when they actually pull out and say, "Aaj hum strategy pe kaam karenge." Otherwise, you don't have the bandwidth, and that I think would be a huge help for somebody like us.
Definitely noted. Thank you. Any questions from the audience?
For Vivek, I would like to understand the challenges in clinical trials apart from the funding and the time consuming the entire processes.
So we have just started the journey in last 6 months. I think getting the right markers, setting the tests itself right, and within 3 months we are seeing the required results are not coming, and hence going back to the drawing board and coming for me. What I've seen in last 6 I didn't realize. Yes, what we have seen is it's a long term. I thought कि 6 महीने में हो जाएगा, but we are far away from there, right? Getting in was very easy, right? In our enthusiasm, we got into it. But now we are into it, we will do it. But getting the right answer, it's a long-term commitment, is my realization, right? Getting the right methods were just the first steps. But improving the product, doing it again, making it right for the consumer, I think is a bigger part of it. I think it's at least a 2-3 year journey for me, what I can see right away.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question about building the wealthy economy through the ethical way on the Charak protocol. Because how our country can celebrate the Charak, their Jayanti actually, which is a formation of our entire Ayurveda. So why? Because if we cannot make this industry organized, because there are many industries where microeconomy, corporate are not helping each other, they cannot grow actually. So we have to focus that how, because there are many practitioners, they have a really fantastically Ayurvedic, protocol principle actually, but they don't have entrepreneurship mindset actually. So how, where they are stuck, because somebody has a medicine in Uttarakhand or something, Dharamshala, something, really people get benefits. So why they have a threat something, or something, their mindset is not about going entrepreneurship actually, or how the, industry, like big people can come and that, okay, or whether we don't have a IP protocol where we don't have a judice system actually, where someone cannot protect the IP actually, because in other country there is a good things, environment are there. So where our entrepreneurship is stuck here in India actually, whether people mindset or something, we don't have what kind of change is required in our this system actually. That I want feedback.
Noted. Just one point there though. I understand where you're coming from, the challenges. The way I'm looking at is that, every challenge is also an opportunity, right? There will be somebody trying to solve that problem also, right? Like Ram has been trying to solve the medicine problem in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. Like us, Apollo Ayurveda has been solving for those protocols-based insurance-approved Ayurveda care. Like he's solving the internet space. Please look at it as an opportunity, and I'm sure that we all have that capability to take it, right? That's the spirit in which we should look at. I think one point I just want to add, in the interest of time, I think we are running short of time, is that, a lot of points that mentioned here are the real positive trends that are in the industry, right? I mean, spoke of people on ground being entrepreneurial and the demand for Ayush increasing, both on the tier 2, tier 3 cities, as well as on the ground level, as well as in the internet space. It's going in the right direction, right? People are no more asking for self-medication. He talked about people asking for solutions. Sir talked about, different corporates coming together, entrepreneurs coming together, solving for clinical trials itself. He said that there are CROs, equivalent companies coming in to help people, right? That could be a solution for you, Vivek, right? I mean, likewise, and Sarika, you mentioned about, starting from a village, city of Dehradun and getting into the business class of Vistara. And you've not told about all your products. I'm sure that once you tell, you realize that which are the premium locations your products are going into, right? So all these are positive, as well as lot of these solution problems that you see on a day-to-day basis, to be honest, are already being thought through or already being solved in this industry. I think as Ayush, CIA Ayush, maybe it's also our imperative to kind of bring this information to the public, like these are the resources, right? Honorable Secretary of Ayush today talked about 9,000 crores of funds being there, I'm sure that there will be multiple funds and grants for doing clinical trials. So is there a repository that we can bring out for everybody to actually access and work through? That's how the incubations perhaps may get into much better shape. That's one thought. And consumer research, of course, lot of consumer data, everything, Ayush Grid and integration of technology. I'm sure that it's going in the right pace. Let me stop short of my summary.
One question, sir. One question. Short,
one more question is there?
One short question. To Sarika ma'am.
Okay, one second.
Could you please just share, you were having said that you were quite successful in Mumbai and you take up a decision to start up. So in order to run anything, you must have a reason and vision. Could you please throw some light on your reason and vision about that?
So I think कुछ भी करने के लिए reason तो चाहिए ही होता है, उसके बिना you cannot do that. And I think to each his own. For that matter, to answer the gentleman who had asked the earlier question, entrepreneurship is about a lot of risk taking. आपका reason जो भी हो, personal हो, professional हो, purpose खत्म हो गया, जो भी हो. I think, in my entrepreneurial journey in the last 8 years, I've met multiple founders, multiple entrepreneurs, and the reason has been very, very different. But I do say that the mindset is of somebody who's ready to take the risk of not getting a paycheck at the end of every month. You become responsible for that, and that, I think, stops a lot of people from taking the leap of faith. So अगर आपने वो figure out कर लिया, if you're able to address your fears, to say that no, I'll figure it out, maybe the first 3 months I'll not get the same amount of money, or maybe the first 1 year I'll not get the same amount of money, but I know, I believe in what I'm doing, and at the end of whatever journey, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, I do know that something will come. जब आपका वो fear हट जाता है, तो you start walking that path and it becomes easier for you to manage. जब तक आपका वो fear grip करे रहता है, तब तक बहुत मुश्किल हो जाती है. तो I mean, to each his own reason, honestly, the reasons are very, very different. But the journey does require you to keep your fears away, step that aside and then say that I'll take the leap of faith and देखा जाएगा जो भी होगा. I think that has worked for a lot of people around me.
Reason at the tea time.
विजन में बहुत पर्सनल है, आपके पर्पस से निकल कर आती है टिपिकली. मेरा विजन मतलब ऑफ कोर्स देयर वर वेरियस पर्सनल रीजंस, बट द आइडिया वाज आल्सो टू टच एज मेनी लाइव्स एज पॉसिबल. In a corporate world, you become a very small part of a vertical, and at some point it was not satisfying, so I needed to kind of expand my horizons. तो वो बड़ा personal था, but now I'm very happy that it's touching a lot of lives, and that's the currency I look at my success on today.
One more thing, I think all of us are available for one-on-ones after this. I think, yeah.
So I just want a very strong point to make. I am Dr. Nilanjana Basu from Amity University. So we are stating two things. So here I am hearing, we are discussing about the clinical trials. So that is one aspect for practice. So there is one more aspect which I don't think anybody has touched upon, that is science. So you have to satisfy science as well. So that happens in the laboratory. So everybody, all the startups and everybody should have something, some thought of putting some money into that as well.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Noted. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, everybody, for patiently listening to all of us. Thank you.